Hello, good evening, and welcome. And sorry about the delay. Unfortunately, I had a message saying on here that I could not stream, but we are here. As you can see, I'm having a bit of a bad air day today, and I've not hide it or anything, as you can see. So, hope you're all well out there, and I hope you all had a good week. We are on, and we are live. And thank you very much for joining us tonight. The Inview is a very special program. It was created to bring about a balance in today's world in relation to people that are not on the news, are not in any media, and it's a place for people to come to that have a spiritual understanding and a balance within life. And don't we need that at the moment? My God. I do know that the feelings between a lot of people out there in relation to coronavirus is starting to wear thin. And I do know that things are frayed, to say the least, in relation to what we're meant to do, not do, or whatever. I've always gave the analogy that, and today is actually the anniversary of the Titanic sinking. Quite apt, really, because Boris Johnson's back tomorrow. So we will probably sit, things will not pick up and we'll hit some form of iceberg along the way, I'm sure. We have a varied show tonight, a lot of different guests. Every Sunday, we have all sorts of guests on. Tonight is no exception. We do have at 7:30 tonight the amazing Fenella Raymond, Reiki practitioner and crystal healer, and she'll be telling you about her life, what she's up to, and everything else. 8 o'clock tonight, we've got the amazing Nikki Burns, who's a meditation teacher, Reiki, and angelic Reiki therapist and event facilitator. She puts on mind, body, and spirit events and things like that. 8:30 tonight, we've got the amazing Crystal Desprez. She's an ambience, atmospheric sound design and music composition, linear, non-linear implementation, virtual and live performance applications. And then we got a man of mystery on at 9 tonight. So we have 4 guests. Fenella Raymond on at 7:30, Nikki Burns on at 8, and Crystal Desprez on at 8:30, and International Man of Mystery on at 9. Gemma Jane Brooks says, been looking forward to this show all day. Thank you, Gemma. That's very kind. What can I say? I mean, normally I go through loads and loads of stuff, what's going on with coronavirus. But I'm not going to do that tonight because, unfortunately, I've pointed out so many mistakes in, as I said, today is the day of the Titanic anniversary. And we've been led as if we are going to hit an iceberg. I'd like to know what the hell is going on, because none of us in lots of ways wanted anything like this. This encroaches on our freedom and it puts us in a prison. And a lot of people say, well, you just got to stay at home. It's okay. Look, I don't care if you agree or don't agree with me. I have very strong understanding and belief that we're being led by a very corrupt government, which they all corrupt, that signifies led by corrupt royalty, led by corrupt politicians around the world. And, you know, what sits behind them is what you should worry about, because that's a shadow. Forget about Bill Gates. He's just a mouthpiece. You know, I haven't really put a lot on my wall about Bill Gates because, you know, that man really isn't worth the paper he's written on, I'll tell you. He is shallow, inept, and nothing. Boris Johnson, do you really think Boris Johnson's going to come back and save the day tomorrow after his terrible illness and he's been really bad? You know, there is a lot of people are speculating whether he had the illness at all. Now, we all know he looked unwell and didn't look well and everything. But, you know, to come back after 3 days intensive care, and he's had, 14 days nearly or whatever in Chequers, and obviously come back tomorrow. He's refreshed and rewriting to go. I cannot wait. I'll get back stuck in. Well, he's got an absolute mess to mop up because, you know, we're not heading for 100,000 tests a day, even though the military has been brought in now and mobile units and everything else. You know, the incompetence of this government is beyond belief. No government in the world has behaved like ours. And it shows you not just the incompetence, but they stand behind the banner of medical science. The medical are saying this, the medical are saying that. I understand that to a degree. But what I want to know is the fact that Ever since I've been born, every year we have viruses. We are walking viruses, actually. You know, when we go and have intimacy with someone and we have viruses, we can pass them on. When we sneeze, when we got terrible flu, we can pass it on. And, you know, I know loads of people are going to argue with me. What is the difference between what we have and what we used to have? Because colds and flu have been here since the year dot. We carry viruses inside ourselves. They can get sparked. It depends what our immune system's like. And, you know, the problem we've got here, that this is an upgrade on what we normally have, because we have something that's been man-made and created and put into circulation to the people. It's only my view. You don't have to agree with it. And this is killing a lot of people. But is it? Is it killing a lot of people, really? I beg to differ. I know it. People are dying. I know that it's very sad, and I know it's not good. And you know, my heart goes out to all of them. My heart goes out to all the people working in the NHS. But to a degree, are the NHS doing everything at the moment? I don't think so. All these new hospitals they built, Birmingham, Manchester, London, what are they doing? They're empty. There's nobody there. Nobody in there. What are they waiting for? And, you know, they're saying that, you know, it's all scaled up and we can deal with everything. Well, yes, it is. But unfortunately, this government for the last 10 years has bled the NHS. And they're saying, stay at home, save lives, save the NHS. It's very much about them worried if everyone did become ill and they couldn't cope, because technically they haven't got enough PPE anyway. They haven't got enough of anything. I'll tell you what they haven't got enough of: brains and brain power within inside their own cabinet. They're a bunch of imbecilic, completely crazed, demented, rich children sit in our cabinet. And the Tory party are a party that don't care about you, don't care about me. They care. Yes, of course they do. Yeah, they really care, don't they? I think it's a disgusting disgrace. This government should be put in a dock and they should be locked up. I just had it flash up. Boris Johnson returns to Downing Street. You know, I mentioned Dominic Cummings before. Well, surprise, surprise. What a surprise. It must be because I have some psychic ability. I told you some weeks ago Dominic Cummings would be behind all this. And Dominic Cummings has been listening on sage meetings that are not supposed to be for his ears. You're going to find some people have fall guys in this situation. Matt Cock, he'll be somebody out the door. Dominic Cummings be out the door. Boris Johnson will come back and he'll be like, prodigal son, I have arrived. It's all going to be great. And I'll be a buffoon and it'll all be great. Unfortunately, Boris, you run away. And a lot of people won't forget that. Now, a lot of people say, no, he was ill and he's very poorly. Answer me something. Boris Johnson was in a hospital, in intensive care for 3 days, 4 days. Miss Garraway, husband, has been in there for weeks. And he's critical. Critical. And you can say, well, some people get affected more than others. But I'm sorry, is not Kate Garraway's husband, Derek, I believe his name is he not getting the same treatment as what Boris got, if Boris had any? And I'm only allegedly saying that. I'm not saying he didn't and did have it. What I'm saying is there's a lot of people saying he didn't. Because, as I've said on this show many times, and banged on about it many times, is the fact that Boris does not like confrontation. He likes to be the village idiot. He wants everyone to be happy and smile and say lovely things about him and his government. And unfortunately, when the heat gets really hot, Boris ain't in the kitchen at the party. He's putting his coat on and running out the door. He's running out the door because he doesn't know how to deal with it. And someone said to me earlier today, which is a very interesting fact, does Boris Johnson even want it? Did Boris Johnson want this? Now, nobody wants virus, but I want to go back again to last year, the year before. All of you that are watching or listening to this have been through horrendous flu, horrendous illnesses. There's a virus. You go to the doctor, oh, it's just a virus, go home, put your feet up. I'm worried where we're going with this, because we now sit in a situation where we are going to, at some point, come out of lockdown. Now, as we come out of lockdown, there's going to be a phased approach to it. This can go one of two ways, really. One way, coming out of phased, we can test everyone, test absolutely everyone, then you can come out. And those that have got it can stay in, and those that haven't can go out. But even those that go out might get it. Because how do we know the 250,000 people that live on the streets that no one cares about has got coronavirus themselves? No one's testing what they would call tramps or waifs and strays. They're homeless individuals, actually. And they're people who have a soul. Nobody's actually checking them, are they? You know, when one of them coughs, when you give them some money, and then you end up with it, don't we go back to square one? And, you know, I'm really worried about the situation of the second phase, they call it. It's not a second phase. There's third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 100th, 20th, 200th, whatever in this. Because how do we ever know it to go away? Let's put some realism on this. Let's have a rain check. Everyone gets viruses. Now, people say, yeah, but this is different. Every year in our world, unfortunately, 250,000 to 650,000 people die every year in our world through flu, seasonal flu. Every year. So somewhere in between 250,000 to 650,000 people died every year. That has happened every year since I've been alive and you've been alive. What is the difference here? Why is this so shambolic? Why are we being treated so differently? They used to say you need to eat a ton of dirt years ago to actually build your immune system up. All of us ate strange things. All of us have been in situations where we've been with people and they've had very bad viruses and all sorts. Then we get it, then we're better because our immune system fights it. I feel that we're heading for a nanny state. And this is really dangerous country because it's going to play with the mental attributes of every individual. It's going to play with your mental psyche as an individual. Because, you know, a lot of people have been asked, what are you going to do when you go out? And a lot of people say, I'm going to stay in. Why are they going to stay in when they can go out? Because they're frightened. They're fearful. This nanny state, health and safety gone mad world, is the fact that when we're allowed out, a lot of people are going to be in panic attacks, and all manner of different things, because they'd be worried when they come near somebody. They'd be worried when they meet somebody. And what does this do for relationships? What does this do if you want to meet somebody? Because social distancing is going to be here forever. Anyone that's got young children I'm talking about, and babies, the world they're going to grow up in will be one where they won't actually hold hands. They won't hug. They won't be close to their mother, father, or people. What? And one day they look back on pictures of the time now and they say, "Oh, that's when we could hug. That's when we could be near each other." Don't think I'm being extreme. I'm not being extreme at all. Social distancing, I understand why we need it, but at the same time, it doesn't work. You all, like me, have been in supermarkets. And when you go in that supermarket, you have to queue up 2 meters apart. That's all good. When you get in the supermarket, it's free for all. Everyone's everywhere. Oh, I need that packet over there. Or I need that tin or whatever. Oh, I just reached. Sorry, can I just get that? And I was in a shop the other day and I was in a queue that was 2 meters apart to come out of to go into checkout. And I was standing there and there's this barrier. There's only one thing barrier. And there's this guy, an oldish guy, not a young bloke, oldish guy that got underneath this barrier, pushed me out the way to grab something off a shelf and then went back out there, back outside. I said to him, "Do you not realise you have to be 2 meters apart?" I mean, he's not a stupid man. He was in, we're looking at an older gentleman here. He said, "Yeah, but you think I'm going to wait in that queue? I'm not going to wait in that queue at all. I want it now." I looked at that and I thought, that epitomizes the reality we live in. That epitomizes the self-centeredness, the non-caring, and oblivious to anything. I'm sad to say this, but a vast percentage of our population are like that man. Now, when I eventually got to the till, that man was at a self-service and he was out the door, gone. There was an older man, not a young man, doing what he wants. There is an element, and it's in America right now, where people are starting to campaign because we as humans need interaction. We need to go places, do things. We need to meet people. We learn from each other. Yes, you can do a lot online, but it's not the same as meeting people. My worry is the fact that we're heading down a road where I feel that the government are going to nanny state us. And I feel that's going to cause a problem. I feel it's going to cause a problem because I feel many people are going to rebel. Now, I know that, we're a law-abiding race and everything, but we know we can't go back to what it was, and we know it's going to be different. But the problem is that I go back to Titanic. It hit an iceberg because it wasn't actually being captained properly. We're actually on a Titanic, and we have a virus on board. And the captain, unfortunately, this is off his watch. He's back tomorrow, so it should be okay, but we might hit a few things along the way. Well, we won't sink. I feel we are being pushed. If things go the way I feel, we could be pushed into a corner. And remember, we're animals. There's no social distancing in nature. How many viruses exist in the nature kingdom? Many, of course, like us. We're walking viruses. We're also walking antibiotics. It's within inside us. We really cannot go down the road of thinking, I'm not going to go out today because I might get run over. We cannot go down that road. We cannot go down the road, I'm not going to go out today, I might get hit by a tree. I might get mugged. Something bad might happen to me. I'll stay in, it'd be safer. Unfortunately, and I'm not talking to you out there because I know you're educated people. A lot of people that are not listening to this show are not educated and will hang on every word that these people say. And I'm sorry, but those people that talk to you are born again liars. They're contemptuous. They're disgusting. And I've got no time for them whatsoever. Gemma says, wise words from you as always. And she says, I think we will be under the nanny state until there is a generation born that knows no different and never knew freedom and privacy. I actually agree with you. That is the worry. Do you want your kids grown up where they can't actually hug other kids? Where you can't actually hug people? Where you've got to stay 2 meters apart from each other just because you might get something? What happened before all this? Do you remember? Oh, not that long ago, Cheltenham Festival. 70,000 race goers. We had coronavirus then. All stuck together in paddocks watching the racing. Do you remember the times you used to go to the pub and you had to fight your way to get to a bar to buy a beer? All them days are gone. And some would say that's really good. But some would say it wouldn't be. And what are you going to do with people when they do open pubs and restaurants? What are you going to do with the people that get extremely drunk and then want to be your friend and they want to hold you? And what about all the people? Bear in mind the mental thing that's going on with the younger people that are oblivious, that are not switched on, that would normally be in Bristol, Brighton, London on a Friday and Saturday night, getting absolutely smashed out of their brains on alcohol and drugs and God knows what else, because they're sick to death of doing their job, because they're trying to find a way to escape. What do? They go out there and they get absolutely wrecked because they're dissatisfied, because there's no leadership, because they're forgotten people, because we're treated like slaves. And that is a very true word, treated like slaves. Jason McCusgrove joined us. Hello, Jason. How are you? Good evening. I'm not a scare merchant. I'm not a fearmonger. I'm a person that's real. And for people out there that know me, well, we'll finish that in a minute. We have got somebody on the phone. I wonder who this could be. Hello, is that Fenella?
Hello, Clint.
Hello, Fenella. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic for you to join us tonight, Fenella.
Oh, thank you for having me on again.
You're my first guest. I love your name, Fenella Raymond. What does Fenella is so unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yes, it's a fairly unusual name.
Where did that come? What does it mean, and where did that come from?
Well, I think it's originally a Gaelic name.
Wow.
And I think it means white shoulders.
Wow. And Raymond, obviously, has that got a European feel to it?
French, originally.
Yes, I thought it might.
Yeah.
Well, it's fantastic to have you on, and obviously we've known each other a while. You've been on the show before.
Yes, I have.
And we've met each other lots of times at different events, which sadly we're not at the moment.
No, unfortunately.
And if you like to tell people out there, just remind people what you do and what you are.
Okay. Well, I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I do two sorts of Reiki. I do the traditional Yuzui Reiki and also angelic Reiki, and I do crystal healing as well.
Fantastic.
So,
how are you finding this at this moment in time?
It's obviously a bit tricky doing what I do, because the healing that I do is hands-on healing, whether it's Reiki or crystal healing.
Yeah.
But the upside is that with the Reiki, I can still do distance healing. So,
and distance healing, for people out there who don't know what that is, and it should be quite simple, distant healing, but actually, it's healing where you tune in and you're sending healing out to that person, aren't you?
That's right. Yes. I mean, you could say you're sort of sending it psychically.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're setting an intention for the healing to go to someone. I mean, the basis for a lot of, like if you take, for example, spell work and things like that, that's all about intention. And even when you're doing hands-on healing, it's intention that you're wishing that person well. So it's no different. It's just that you're doing it. You're sending it to them psychically rather than channeling it through your. Well, you're still channeling it through your body, but you're sending it to them psychically rather than doing hands-on healing and placing your hands, physically on the person.
Yeah, and that really is done through what I would call the frequency vibration waves of anything from the astral to the multidimensional that sits around us. And it's just you can't see it. It's not like buying a box of cornflakes. It's around us, but you can't see it. We tune into it. It's energy we pick up when we meet people.
That's right.
When we feel things. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that's right. I mean, it's like you say, it's all around us. I mean, and when you're physically with someone doing a healing, you're still channeling that energy from around you. So it's no different, really. It's just, well, I suppose it is different, but you're still drawing on that energy in the same way. It's just how you're sending it through to someone else.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's almost like, I suppose, radio waves in a way.
Yeah. And how did you get into that, Penelope?
Well, it was kind of a long story, but I'll try and keep it short. I lost both my parents in 2015, sort of within 9 months, I think it was, of each other. After that, a few months after, I started going to psychic fairs, and I started getting messages through from my parents. And also, I was.
So your parents were connecting with you psychically, and you were getting messages from them. How did you feel that first happened?
Oh no, this was through psychic mediums. Messages.
But when you got these messages, how did you feel about that?
Well, I was thrilled, really, because you always, when you're. I was very close to my parents, and it was, and I'm an only child, so there was no siblings to go through it with me, if you like.
No, so, I know what you mean. I'm an only child as well. It is. Yeah. You're left to your own devices a lot of the time, but those that are around us try their best to do their best.
Yes, and so I was very close with my parents, and so it was I felt like my arms had been chopped off, really. Once they died.
Was it? Sorry.
Carry on.
In relation to when they passed, obviously it's very, very sad. We're losing people. We're very, very sad. But do you feel that when they passed, there was a switch on point with yourself there, in obviously going through the mourning and everything, and then coming out, going down a hole, if you like, with yourself, and then coming out different?
Yeah, I suppose, yes, to a certain extent. I mean, I'd always had some belief, I think.
Yeah.
Even before, from teenagers, I'd always had belief in something more than just the everyday world. I mean, when I was a teenager, I was more interested in astrology.
Yeah.
And sort of...
You were looking for your planet to go.
Sorry?
You were looking for your planet to go home. That's what it was.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so I'd always been interested in, sort of the psychology of the way people think, and also, I used to get feelings about places. My mum did as well, about pick up on certain atmospheres of certain buildings and things like that. So I think there was always that belief, in something more than just the physical world. And I suppose I started to look for it more once they'd both gone, and it was almost like it's still a way of connecting to them, although they're not here in the physical, but I do still feel connected to them spiritually.
Yeah, of course, because they walk with you. They're there helping you
Yeah,
and guiding you on a different level. And
yeah,
I feel that's why that, I mean, we spoke about it on here before, but the fact that when we have loss, it's very sad. But if we're lucky to live for an old age here, then we pass. That it's the unknown, isn't it? That's out there.
yeah, yeah. That's right. So so I sort of started getting messages through from various mediums and clairvoyants, and they were sort of saying, well, you should be doing healing work, or and they said, well, start with a meditation circle. So that's how I went and did meditation circle, and then I was going to clairvoyant evenings. I kept getting messages through that I should be doing healing work, and then another, I think it was I've forgotten her name. Ruth. Oh God, what's her other name? I'm having a mental blank now.
Don't worry, it's fine. Don't worry, it's okay.
She sort of said, "Oh well, have you thought about Reiki?" She said, "Oh, why don't you try it?" Because I was at a fair, and I thought, "Oh well, I'll have a session, see what it's like."
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh, this is quite interesting. This is working with this." Just sparked my interest, and then and so I went to a Reiki master and started training. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah, and when you were doing that, I expect phenomenal things happened to you as you were going through that process.
Yes, well, it's because when one of the first things you do when you start studying Reiki is you start doing self-healing, and you have to do like 21 days of self-healing, and that I think it's a very I still do daily self-healing now, but I think it's a very important process to go through, and I think it did help me a lot.
Yeah.
And also the meditation did help a lot. I know I went to meditation every week. I'd end up in tears every single week. Also clearing a lot of emotional blocks and rubbish that I needed to get rid of, in sort of preparation. But I think, self-healing is so important to anyone really.
And it's something that gets forgotten, isn't it? With a lot of people. That hence why we sit in a place where we sit now, where people have to look at themselves, because apart from they can watch TV, go on games and read a book or whatever, but there's only so much you can do, and then you have to stop and look at yourself in a mirror.
Well, that's it. And I must admit, the time that's happening for me at the moment, I have withdrawn quite a lot from everything that is happening around me. I mean, I'm observing it from a distance. I'm sort of just watching the occasional bit here and there, but I'm almost avoiding it in a way, because I think this is perhaps my time to go inwards and reflect and deal with some issues that I've still got, that I still need to work on, so that I can move on to the next phase. And I do feel that what's happening now is an opportunity for a lot of people to go within and to find, what really matters to them. And I think a lot of this other stuff that is going on is almost distracting them from the real work that needs to be done.
Yeah. And for people out there that looking inward in relation to self-healing and things like that, some people would, because we live in a world where people virtually have to have it paint by numbers in relation to self-healing. When you self-heal with yourself, what does that entail for people out there listening that don't fully understand what that means?
Well, I think, if you're talking about it from a Reiki point of view, it's basically channeling the energy again, and then just doing the hand positions on your body, just to channel the energy through to yourself. It works on many levels. It works on physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and it will go to wherever it's needed. But I think more, not just the Reiki. I mean, I think self-healing, you don't have to do Reiki to do self-healing in a way, because I think it involves looking at yourself and learning to like yourself. I mean, I know one thing that I did sort of listen to a lot sort of in the beginning was Louise Hay. She does this subliminal tape, you know, that helps you to accept yourself and that I'm okay as I am, you know, all this sort of thing. And it's that acceptance of self, and almost I think you have to forgive yourself for any things that have happened in the past. And then, you know, because until you can accept yourself and forgive yourself, then you can't move on to the next stage, which is accepting others and forgiving them.
I agree. And I think in our reality, many people that don't delve into that are the people that's going out and they're not stopping to look at themselves. Even now, they're struggling to look at themselves because they want to do something else. They want to go and watch football. It's all right to go and do all these different things, but everything's got to be a balance, and that balance is very much about finding an equilibrium state inside where you feel, as you say, happy. And the majority, or a lot of people certainly in our country, are not happy. I'm not talking about what we sit in, with themselves, because they either want to be something else, look like something else, be like someone else, or they're looking at other people and thinking, I want what that person has. And they're all negative traits, because what they're doing is they're deflecting the mirror of themselves inside out to not look at themselves by not turning the mirror around.
No, that's right. I mean, that's the soul's journey, isn't it? You know, you've got to, there's a kind of a process that you have to go through.
And that's painful as well. It's not easy. You know, we have great sadness and upset along the way. Yeah. And you know, we have what I would call experience initiation points where, you know, maybe we meet the wrong people. Maybe we get mixed up with the wrong people. Maybe we go down a road that, because we come here, we made the choice to be here. And for us talking tonight, you're here, I'm here, and everyone listening is here. We all decided to be here for this moment, now, in this time. Yeah. And you chose the family you were born into as well. And then I always look at it as the fact that within inside ourselves, the soul comes into body, which is not an easy transition. And some people, even some years later on, haven't properly integrated their soul within inside themselves. So they're listening, or they're not centered, or they're not listening to themselves inside. It's a bit like having a car. It's great on the outside, but the inside don't work properly.
No, that's right.
And, you know, obviously people know that now, like you do and I do, to a degree, there is something much more to living than living. Yeah. The God is not money. The God is love and truth and honesty and openness. Yeah.
That's right. You know, I mean, it's like you say, we've all chosen to be here. And, like, you know, sometimes I have to remind myself of that when I'm having a bad day. And I think, well, you know,
a lot of people say to me, I never chose to be here. I'm sorry you did.
Yeah, that's what people say. You chose it. Get on with it.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, you think, okay, I've done this because I want to learn from this. So what am I supposed to be learning?
Yeah.
You know, it's all to.
And because there's nothing you can put in your hands or see, therefore it doesn't exist.
No.
For a lot of people, because they say, "Oh, that's just a load of rubbish," but it isn't.
Yeah.
It's real. It's very real. How did you get on this journey in what you're doing with, like, people around you? How did you get on with, like, partners and family and think, were you supportive? Were these people behind what you were doing, or did you have to hide it a little bit, or whatever?
No, I've never had to hide it.
That's
I mean,
good.
my husband sort of, he's slightly skeptical, but he's fairly open-minded. He sort of, and he lets me do what I want to do, which is always nice.
That is, yeah, that is good, yeah.
So he lets me do the fairs and lets me do the rest of it and what have you. So, you can't. I wouldn't. I tell him what I'm doing, and and I occasionally get on my soap, spout off about various spiritual stuff, and he sits there and puts that we're listening to it, and
that's
but
good.
I mean, he's his own person. He's got his own opinion. I think if he could, I think he'd like more physical evidence. Obviously, well, we all would really, if we're honest.
Yeah.
But I think he's. He accepts it, and he doesn't say, "Oh, that's a load of old rubbish." He's sort of quite open-minded, which is good.
That's good. It's a bit of a personal question, but I thought I'd ask it because, obviously people watching or listening tonight, we don't often dissect down into a lot of things, and sometimes it's quite good to dissect down and look at the nuts and bolts of it, really, because I'm sure there are people out there that, and I know there are people that have woken up and they've been in relationships and they've not been supported, they've not been helped, and they've been treated like lepers in lots of ways, and hence there has been no common ground. We're all different, we're all uniquely different, and if you've got somebody that is grounded into this reality and maybe is a bit skeptical, that there's nothing wrong with that. It means that he's on his own path. You know what I mean? And in a way, it can be grounding for you.
Well, that's it. Because you have to accept. Well, we are all on our own spiritual paths.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong. I mean, I've got to the stage where I think, well, no, I'm not going to be swerved from this path.
No.
And I'm sort of determined.
But there has been times where you thought, what the hell's going on?
Not so much that. I suppose there's sort of doubt, self-doubt. I think is probably my worst enemy, because you think, well, am I imagining this? Is this this real? It's building up that trust, say, right, okay, let's just trust it.
It's getting to know you again, isn't it? Differently.
Yes, and it's you sort of sometimes get feelings. Is that really a feeling, or is that just a nerve twitching in my eye, or but I'm getting better at testing, and just and like with something like with the distance healing, for example, because it's very easy to think, no, there's no way this could work. How can that work? And then you think, right, okay, I'm just going to trust it and let it happen. And then you talk to the person after you've done it, and although you've felt a lot of energy going through, and you think, well, okay, I felt a lot of energy. Let's hope that they did too. And then you'll speak to them afterwards, and I'll say to them, well, I felt a sensation here, and I felt I had to place my hand there, and I felt a lot of energy in this area. And then they'll come back and say, oh, I felt that too, sort of thing. And it corresponds. Oh, right, thank you for that confirmation.
The energy transference is immense, because it shows you the intention. It always goes down to the fact that the veils have all gone in our reality. It went a long time ago, which means that the intention we put out there happens. So when you do that, you are sending that with the purity of the soul synergy energy you carry inside yourself, to send that over to that person, to give them the healing where it's needed. In other words, you're astrally traveling over there and placing your hands on them. Yeah.
I mean, that's, yes, I suppose you are, aren't you? I hadn't thought of it like that, but yes, I suppose that's what you're doing, because you do sort of visualize the person. So yes, that's one way you could look at it.
Yeah. Fantastic. And obviously, I know, like me, like you, like lots of people listening and watching, there's no fairs, which is sad. So we can't see
Yeah.
anything.
I know. I must admit, I am missing the fairs, because that's like when I get together with a group of like-minded people, and I just love the energy and being with lots of people that are sort of like got the same interest as me. So it's I am missing the fairs, I must say.
Yeah, I am as well, I must admit, because interaction is really important. And yes, you can do a lot distance, or even readings and all sorts on phones and things like that. But when you've got somebody sitting there, it brings another dimension to it. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, you must have seen lots of times when you've worked on people, the change, the difference. So somebody comes to you at a fair, and probably explains some things going on with them, or maybe they don't. And then they lay down, then you work on them, and afterwards it must be remarkable.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, that's the biggest buzz, really, is when someone sort of gets up and sort of says, "Oh, wow, that was amazing. I feel so much lighter." That's the biggest buzz from doing healing work, that you feel you've actually made a difference to someone and made them feel better.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of it. That's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And it's nice to get that feedback, because that's it's obviously nice when someone pays you as well, because that's sort of appreciation. But I mean, that's not the motivation to do it.
No, of course it isn't. It is. I know, but we have to put food on the table.
Well,
I thought it's quite funny. Somebody a long time ago said to me, "What you charge for readings, I do it for free." And I said, "Well, what else do you do?" They said, "Well, I've got this normal job." Well, I said, "Well, this is what I do. So it is my job."
Yeah.
So.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
And like yourself, it's what you do. You know what I mean? So.
Well, that's it. So, but I mean, it's not, for me. It's not the motivation to do it.
No.
It's the icing on the cake, if you like. But it's the feeling that you've actually done some good. You've made a difference to, because if you make someone feel better, then you're making the world better, because it gets passed on. It's like a domino effect.
It is. It's a bit like, it's the reverse of what a virus is, because that person then walks out and he feels better, or she feels better. Then she walks outside, then has a better outlook on the world, has a better opinion, and has a much more level and balanced idea of how to live life in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
And whoever that person comes across as well.
That's it. It's like when you're driving in your car, and you let someone out from a side road that's been waiting for ages, and then you go, you let them out in front of you, and then a bit further down the road they let someone else out.
Yeah.
It's passed on, isn't it? It's that good energy.
Yeah. But you must, I mean, like many of us, look at the world and think, what the bloody hell's going on? Because the energy on the planet, which we are all having our part to change in relation to the negative ion self-centeredness energy that sits here, and looking at the behavior of some people and that as well, because it's absolutely atrocious. But we are in a place of almost transformational change, is what I would call it, really. Where we as spirit people are here creating a balance for people. So in other words, I mean, all of those workers of spirituality are key workers in a way, because in a way, through your distant healing and other things you do, through what I do, through what all the people out there are doing, and even people that aren't actually working in spirituality, when they get an urge and they feel, I must pick a phone up and speak to that person, and you speak to that person, you're actually giving them healing. We do a lot. So many people do healing without actually realizing they're doing it.
Yes, that's right.
You know, it's incredible, absolutely incredible. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's easy to look at a lot of the bad stuff that's going on at the moment. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that are doing lots of lovely things to help others.
Yeah.
And, helping out neighbours and, all that sort of thing that's going on.
Yeah, it is. There's a community spirited people are doing a lot of things. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I just hope it continues once this whole business has ended. I just hope that, people just don't go back to the old ways and think,
I don't think they're going to be allowed to do that.
Well, I don't think. I think, like you say, this is a time of transition, and no time of transition is easy.
No, but, it's not.
I think very much them upstairs know what the plan is. We don't, but they do, and they're all doing their best, hopefully, to raise the vibration of everyone on the planet to a higher level.
Yeah, I totally agree. Absolutely. And if people want to get a hold of you, Fenella, I love the name Fenella. Where can I get hold of you, Fenella?
It needs to be rude.
No, I don't mean it like that. But where how could they contact you? Is the best way of putting it.
Well, I'm on Facebook, so it's just Fenella Raymond, Reiki practitioner and crystal healer.
Yeah.
So that's find me on Facebook, and you can contact me through that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. It's unbelievable, because I know the first time you came on, you were a bit nervous and all sorts of that. But now you take it on the chin. It's easy, it's just like I'm sitting there in a chair talking to you, really.
Yeah, having a chat. Mind you, I've got a glass of wine with me. That helps.
Well, oh gosh, you can't beat a glass of wine. That's true. But we've gone through half an hour.
Yes, can't believe it. It goes quick, doesn't it?
How do you find time at the moment? Do you find time is really whizzing by?
Yes, I just find I'm quite envious of all these people that are saying, I'm reading my third book. And they're like baking cakes and doing all the rest of it. And I'm thinking, I feel I'm working harder than when,
I know. I know. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Been at school.
I know.
Because normally I'd get natural breaks during the day when I'm waiting for him to come out of school, and I'd sit in the car and read. But now I feel I'm on the go all the time that they're both home. I'm sort of like non-stop.
Yeah.
So
it is. Yeah. It's a job in itself, just bringing children up. It's a job in itself, just looking after a house. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yes. That, and I've got carpet moths at the moment, so I'm in constant battle.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's been fantastic having you on, Fenella.
And, thank you so much for having me again.
And we will get you back again at some point.
Glutton for punishment, you.
All right, thanks, Fenella.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And we got our next guest. What about that? And right on cue. Hello. Is that Nikki?
Hello.
How are you? Right. Sorry, I was still with my last guest. I'm terrible. I run over a bit sometimes. Some people like me to be run over a few times, I think. Your name is Nikki Burns, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And you haven't done anything like this before, have you?
No, and I'm really nervous.
Oh, don't worry. We'll be very gentle. I have no idea what I'm going to talk to you about, but, it's unbelievable how half an hour just whizzed by, just like that.
Yes, yeah.
How are you? Anyway, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, so, making the most of the time at home, but...
Yes, and how are you coping with things? It's not too bad. Are you finding it in isolation? Are you finding it difficult, or are you finding it not too bad, or how are you finding it?
I've had a few ups and downs. Most of the time I'm okay because I've been keeping busy out in the garden, but big family celebrations that unfortunately we had to cancel. So
oh dear,
I find that a little bit emotional at times, but I'm a bit of a soppy thing like that anyway.
No, but that's good because you're just open, and that's really important. And I mean, you know, the first time I met you was actually at an event, because you're an event facilitator. You had I'm trying to remember the place now. Something Mill, wasn't it?
On Free Mill.
That's it. What a lovely place. I met you there. Was invited to come along and invited on future events, and then we had this, and there won't be any. No, there will be later on, I'm sure. But that was a lovely event. Yeah, a lot of people there I knew anyway, but that was a spiritual, like a mind, body, and spirit event with a lot of different people, from readers to store and to sellers, and also you had my old friend there, which was, well, a lot of friends there actually, but Patrick Gamble, of course, lovely guy. What a lovely guy.
Patrick is lovely. Yeah,
he is amazing.
So, and his artwork is just amazing.
Yeah, it is absolutely phenomenal. You're also a meditation teacher and Reiki and angelic Reiki therapist.
Amongst other things as well, I do other therapies on top of all that as well. So,
and
my finger in all place.
Yeah, well, that's really good, and I feel that, you know, we have to be a tree, and we have to have branches, don't we? And the branches are very much about, you know, where we go from here and expand ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, very true.
And and how I find that, because obviously you know you can't do any events or can't go to any events or anything like that. The spiritual side to yourself, how are you finding that right now?
Difficult. I love going to the events, and I love having treatments, and I love giving treatments, and I find that keeps me on quite an even path. So I'm finding I'm getting a little bit sort of frustrated with not being able to do it, and so having to find other ways to sort of release that frustration, I guess. So I'm working in the garden and sort of using a bit more creative side of things.
And it brings out something different. I know you've been busy. I've seen the pictures and all sorts of that. You've been both of you have been very busy in the garden. It looks fantastic, and decking and all sorts of that as well.
Yeah, I only started weeding, and then we found that we needed to do lots of jobs in the garden.
Yeah.
After sort of working, you don't normally get time. So it's been a whole complete revamp of the garden.
Yeah, that's good, because it's a bit of feng shui, isn't it, going on?
Exactly. Yeah, getting rid of all the rubbish and getting in the new, ready for all the changes that are going to happen.
Yeah, interesting. Because obviously, what's your take on what is happening at the moment? What do you feel is going on?
I think the world is definitely giving us all a shake-up and making us realise exactly what's important in life. I think so many people spend so much time, I mean, myself included, we work, we tend to fill our time so much with things, thinking that's going to make life better. But actually, you forget the important things in life, such as, partners and family, and actually that community as well. I mean, I know that I've started talking more to my neighbour, for example, because we don't see each other normally because we're working, and we've spent a lot of time chatting over the fence. And so I think it's bringing all that to the forefront and shaking people up quite a lot.
Yeah. Oh, we've lost her. Where'd she go? Let's get her back. Bear with me 1 second. BT, what are you doing to me? I don't know whether it's a signal or what it is, but we will get her back. It's live. There we are. She's back now. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. It just went dead.
Join the text.
Oh, and she's gone again. We'll get her back again. Third time lucky. Hopefully, this will be third time lucky. Here we go. Let's see if we can get her here now. We've never had a problem like this before. It's quite strange. And it's not even ringing. Oh, yes, it is. And it's ringing. And it's ringing. Hello, Nikki.
Hello, I don't know quite what's going on there.
That's very
Going
weird
through
because,
technology.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's your signal or whatever where you are, but I think the signal's all right this end. I don't know.
Yes.
It doesn't matter anyway.
It's showing up it's okay here, but yeah, you never know, do you?
Well, I suppose there's
Rain,
millions of people using phones right now, so you can imagine the impact on the network. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very true.
You were saying sorry until they cut us off.
Yeah.
In relation to your neighbours and everything else, community spirit, and obviously, you know, wanting, I suppose, in a way, looking for an end game, basically an end point to this.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I think when that end point definitely comes, I think people will look at life on, or I'm hoping so, on a different level, and maybe not being so money orientated or work orientated. It's easy for people to say, well, you know, it's more life than work, but unfortunately, to pay bills and things like that, you know, many people work long hours and do many jobs, don't they? So
they do.
I think hopefully it will change that and get people to look at things from a different perspective.
Yeah. And in relation to the spiritual person you are, as I asked Fenella just now, when you started on your journey, what happened for you to suddenly decide that I'm going to make this transformation? I'm going to be this person now rather than the person you was.
I don't think it was only one particular thing. I mean, I remember growing up and always being the person who wanted to make things better. I know that my mum had been poorly and I was there almost holding the family together and, you know, looking after my brother and helping with my sisters. So I was always that person to help, and even growing up. And then a friend of mine, she died in quite tragic circumstances, and I was looking for answers because at the time I wasn't in a good space myself. And so I went to see a clairvoyant, Jo Scott, who was a lovely lady, and she brought evidence through for me, and almost sort of cleared all the way. Almost, she cleared all the upset and everything else just by coming through with that information. And she was then saying that she thought that I should be doing Reiki. So like Fenella, I found a Reiki master and thought, right, I'm going to start on this journey. I want to make things better. I want to make people better, but not in the conventional sense of, you know, working. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a nurse. So it wasn't in that sense. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make people better on a whole. So, you know, through their mind, their body, their spirit. So I started learning Reiki, and yeah, it just spiraled from there, really. I went up through the Reiki, got to master level, then did angelic Reiki, crystals, and it's just been more on top of that. And then I started to think, well, actually, I need to work more on people's minds as well. So I then started doing meditation classes, which there wasn't many people coming, but to actually see the difference in the few people that did come was amazing, just to see people relaxing and just switching off from the outside world and all the stress and strain. Yeah. To see how actually, even by the power of talking and helping them to go into meditation, that can actually make a significant change to people, and it affects their physical health as well. So it's just been just leads on, and I'm still learning. I'm still doing.
Yeah, of course. We're all on that learning journey, obviously. And I think one of the important things, what you're saying there, really importantly, and I know that some people find meditation difficult because it's like there's so many books out there about meditation. Where I mean, I don't necessarily like the word meditation mechanism. It's about having your space in a space. So that could be with a group of people or be with yourself. And it is literally the mad thing is, and people don't realize this, and you know what I mean when I say it. When we stop, we leap forward.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
If we don't stop to review, see, and take in what we are, what we've done, what we connect to, bearing in mind that we have sometimes lots of rubbish that has to go in meditations, of stuff that comes up that we've held on to, that regurgitates or recycles within us, don't we?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can vouch for that.
But it is having that space, and it really isn't. People sometimes try too hard where you don't need to. You just need to clear your mind and just go with the narrative. It's probably you do guided meditation, I would imagine, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, guided meditation.
Yeah. It's very powerful guided meditation, because when you go into that meditation, you might not follow everything that person says, because you might be taken somewhere else that you need to go with inside yourself.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I quite often, if I go to a fair and there's a guided meditation, I quite often go off in my mind to somewhere completely different. It's never following the instructions. I have my favourite places, and that's where I go. But it's just relaxing your mind and just allowing yourself just to be and to just think, or just clear that space so that, like you said, you can move on and you can move forward.
And in the world we live in today, obviously, there's a lot of people doing amazing things out there at the moment, as we said already. But for us individually, and in a whole, because obviously you probably, like me and like many people, sometimes feel the density of what we're sitting in, with the worry, confusion, anxiety that sits in the ether. I mean, some days it's really strong. Do you know what I mean? Some days it's very, very strong, and some days it's not as strong. But we like me, probably like you're sending energy out there on a constant basis to help people that need help, that are crying out for help in one shape or form. Like Fenella, in a way, in distant healing, you're sending that out. Because when we're in our little boxes, and obviously, you and your husband are very spiritual, got a spiritual network around you. But for people that are stuck indoors and they have children and they haven't got anyone, and then there's elderly people living on their own that don't see anyone. It's very difficult, isn't it? It's very difficult. We still have to find a space within inside ourselves to make us grow within the world we're in, because all of us make what we live in. We all make it. We all make what we live in. We don't have control at what things happen on it, but we have control in we make things happen within it.
Yeah, definitely. I find that even just something such as I used to work in a retirement home, and yesterday I was feeling a little bit sort of overwhelmed with all the situation. I said to my husband, I'm actually just going to give a couple of the ladies a call where I used to work. Because I knew that they'd be on their own. And it's amazing how when you first speak to somebody, how they can feel so, forlorn and just so down. But by just having a general conversation and being able to send those healing energies out there to them, by the end of the conversation, they're able to get through a few more weeks of this situation. It's just the power of speech and the power of just spending that time with somebody, whether it's on the phone or in person, isn't it? Is significantly, important, I think.
It is important. And what's important is that the fact that all of us are souls and we're here for each other. And I mean, I do feel that the elderly are a forgotten race of people on our planet. They haven't just been forgotten in the news. in relation to what's been going on, but they're forgotten in general. And unfortunately, and I'm sorry, it's not everyone, I'm going to say, but I know my father had very bad dementia and Alzheimer's, and he had to go into a home in the end. And the person that run it there said, it's fantastic you come in and see him all the time. I said, well, yeah, you come and say hello and everything, because none of the other residents get any visitors. And
I know,
and I am absolutely shocked by that, because what that shows me is the immensely self-centeredness of people that put these people away. Sometimes they don't need to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just like
so they can live their life.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I mean, we can't have them all live with us, obviously, but there needs to be a bridging point there. You can't just, it's like dumping at the steps and basically, I'm not no final word on it, but tell me when they're gone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen it so often with the work that I've done, and even people that have come to me for therapies, and they say, well, my family doesn't really do anything for me, and I feel so alone. And it's, for me, it's heartbreaking, because I get so upset at the thought of seeing somebody on their own, somebody struggling. And quite often I have to say, in any situation, I'll go home to my husband and I'll just burst into tears, because it's like, that person's on their own, and I wish I could do more, but there's only so much you can do in life, isn't there?
There is also the borderline point, isn't there? Because I mean, when you were doing that job, obviously it's very stressful, it's very busy, and plus it's very exhausting when you have to give so much of yourself. In other words, you have to sit down and talk to all these people, which is nice, but at the same time, it's very exhausting. You're giving a lot of energy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're taking a lot of their upset and their negative energy on as well. So it's draining.
Yeah. But unfortunately, it comes to us all. And obviously, it's all about death and rebirth. We're all born, and then we die, and then in between that, we get older. And I don't know where the years go. Bloody hell, they fly by.
Don't worry about it.
And obviously, you get an enormous amount of support from your family and everything. You've got quite a large family, haven't you?
My husband's very good. I mean, he's a little bit spiritual, but he just leaves me to get on with it. A bit like what Fernanda was saying about her husband, he just leaves us to get on with it, which is nice.
Yeah.
And my parents and my children, they all know the sort of things that I do, and they accept it. My son's very skeptical, but he's just like, yeah, whatever, Mum, you're just a aged hippie, which to me is fine. I'm quite happy with that. So, but they are very supportive, and they know that me helping people is what is my passion almost in life. It's what I'm here for.
Yeah, and obviously for people that are listening, maybe tonight or maybe listen afterwards on playback or whatever. I mean, getting through this at this moment in time is about holding the positivity, isn't it?
It definitely is. Yeah, you've got to stay positive and believe that there is going to be a better life after this.
Yeah, and obviously when you worked where you worked in the retirement home, there was many there. Obviously, you got to know people, and it's very sad that they pass, and it's very upsetting. And in a way, it's a sort of key holder role, isn't it? You're in between worlds, really, because you're here and you're trying to make them comfortable and everything, and then helping them transition, really.
Yeah, and about keeping them calm and making sure that that they don't worry and they don't panic. And I think working with the elderly, actually, I found that my viewpoint was completely different.
Really?
I think because they almost accept death, knowing that actually they're going to be going to a better place or coming back in a different role. So I used to love sitting down with some of them and actually just having those general conversations.
General conversations about their journey to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that is massive. I mean, you know, because it is it's still quite it's a subject that's very difficult for people to talk about, because I think it's the fear of the unknown. They fear dying. And the way I look at it is the fact that, you know, at the moment I'm in this body called Clint Denyer, but at some point this won't be here, and then I'll get into a different vehicle. I'll go back, get re-cleansed, restructured, probably rebuilt, and then put in another vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. And that, to me, I find that really fascinating. I mean, I love finding out about, I've done some past life regression and things like that. So for me, I find that fascinating. So it's, once I got onto that subject, I'd be on there all night, I think.
But when you spoke to these, because I find it fascinating, when you first spoke to somebody, it couldn't have been an easy conversation.
No, I think it was their sort of attitude more that opened my mind.
Yeah, that broke down any barriers that you had within you.
Yeah, because I think we think that, you know, they're going to be sad when they're at the end stage of this particular life.
Yeah.
But actually, most of them, providing they're not in severe pain or anything, most of them are very receptive and just like, well, I've had a good life, I'm on to whatever's next. You know, and I've learned all the things that I need to learn in this life, and hopefully, you know, I'll go on to either a better place or I'll come back and I'll have other things to learn. Yeah, it was fascinating and really opened my eyes to not being so anxious, because I think as we grow up, we go through stages of you know, being afraid of dying, don't we? And actually, it really opened my eyes that actually there is, providing you're not in pain, obviously, you know, and with the passing, it's actually a good thing in some ways, because you're moving on to something better. Yeah,
and I think the work you've done there is phenomenal with these people, and above all, the what they, when you sit there talking to people, they're actually, a lot of them are actually understanding that it's not the end.
Yes.
That is it. That is fascinating, that they actually sit there and they know they're not sitting there in fear. They probably sit there and say, well, when I go, and that's it.
Yeah, just sort of very matter of fact about it.
Yeah. That's quite remarkable. I think that's immense. I think it's a subject that's not really even really discussed. I broached it on here a few times, but obviously it's a difficult question, because if we fear, then anything can happen, because we don't know. If we don't fear, then we open the portals within inside ourselves for the things that's meant to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that.
And you know, it's not the end, it's the beginning of something else, because you know, we're in the time we have on this planet, it's a speck of dust on the floor. So, you know, we've got many other specks of dust to do. And what you said before, past life plays a big role here as well, in relation to what we have been before. And, you know, I mean, I can see that you've been, you in a past life have been a Florence Nightingale type figure in a past, which I feel, you probably know that anyway.
No, one.
All right. Okay. Well, I see you going back into World War I, actually.
Wow.
And I see you in a place called Dieppe, and I see you there treating people and everything that have been in the battles and everything that as well. And you know, it's quite strange, because one of the things I see about you there is the fact that, you know, there's a book you haven't written yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's another thing to put your list.
Somebody has mentioned that before about a book, and I was like, oh, okay then.
You don't need to write it. You can dictaphone it. or on your phone. You can speak to your phone.
True.
And then you can just download it onto a computer and use a oh god, I can't remember the program, but it types your words, what you say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought I'd tell you that because I see that quite strong. So it's quite interesting.
Interesting,
Yeah. But I know that the energy carries immense, and I know that, you know, putting together the events you did recently at Hornsbury Mill, and I know you've got another one, hopefully that I'll be at later in the year in October, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. The beginning of October. I think it's October the 10th and the 11th.
Hopefully, fingers crossed that'll happen.
Yeah.
Because it
would be lovely.
Yeah, it's very worrying. So many things. I know that the situation, but so many things are put off and we can't do. And we can't help it as animals in relation to ourselves and the people we are in wanting to go out and do things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very true. We're not used to staying in and being controlled almost in what we can and can't
That's
do.
the word, being controlled. Yes.
Yeah.
And we know that there is some form of greater good to it. But at the same time, you know, I mean, I'm a philosophical person and I look at all areas and all rounded edges to what it is. And you know, yes, we have this situation, but I do feel that there's a bigger picture around all of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know we have discussions about that at home and all the various things that it could be to do with. So
yeah. But the problem I have is incompetency in people that really can't really captain things properly. Because, you know, isn't it? I mean, you were in that. You used to work with the elderly. You'd have to have PPE. You'd have to have face masks and everything. I mean, you know, 2.5, 3 months down the line, we still haven't got that in places. It's just beyond a joke, isn't it?
It is. It's awful to think that people are putting their lives at risk because, you know, people just can't get their acts together, isn't it?
It's just madness, absolute madness.
Yeah.
If people want to get hold of you, Nikki, where would they get hold of you?
Okay, so I have a Facebook page. So it's Whispering Trees Therapy.
Fantastic. And they can contact you mobile or Facebook you or whatever, or email or whatever.
Yeah, whichever. Yeah, it's all on that page.
That's fantastic. You've been a fantastic guest tonight. And
Thank you very much.
You know, you've lost all that nerves, all gone now, see?
It has,
you broke your duck.
No, thank you.
You broke your duck, and it'd be like, bring it on next time, because once you've won here, that's it. You'll be coming back.
Yeah, definitely.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been really, really good. I think it's been very interesting. I think you bring another dynamic, as Fenella did. Every guest brings something different. And, you know, one of the most important things about doing this show is to give people an opportunity to listen to people that can't be heard, because there's no programs, there's no radio programs, there's no television programs that has anything of anyone spiritual on there talking about anything. Do you know what I mean?
No, we definitely need more, don't we?
We do.
Get the awareness out there.
We do. Absolutely. You've been fantastic. Thank you very much, young Nikki.
Thank you for having me on the show, Clint.
And my regards to your partner and all your family and everything. And I hope to see you soon.
Yep, hopefully see you soon. You take care.
All right. Thanks a lot, Nikki. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Nikki Burns, what a lovely lady. Met her at Hornsbury Mill, which was I'd eventually organised. And with a lot of different readers and different stalls and things like that. And what a lovely lady. Very, very warming, very glowing. And I can't wait. October, she's got an event again. I think that's going to be at Hornsbury Mill again, which is near Chard. It's a lovely place. If you ever get a chance to go there, when you can go outside, Hornsbury Mill is a lovely, beautiful setting. They have a lot of weddings and things there and that as well. But it is a mill. It's got a big mill. It's got a big wheel. And it's got fantastic grounds to it and a lot of wildlife and that. It's absolutely brilliant. We have got Crystal Despret, hopefully, coming up next. I'm going to just see if I can find a number. This is live, as you can tell, because I'm looking for a number. Now, normally, on normal circumstances, it wouldn't be like that, would it? It would be very different because somebody would just plug you straight in and there you be. We're going to try her on Facebook, I think. If she's available. If she's not available, saying that, here she is. Is this young Crystal?
Hi. It is. Hi, Clint. How are you?
How are you, Crystal? Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Crystal Despret, who's been on the show many times before. Lovely lady, has followed me from different stations, and has a very immense knowledge and wisdom of frequency, vibration, music, and used to be a dancer and all manner of different things. My first question to you, Crystal, because I know that you nearly phoned on Thursday. I'd like to ask you a question. I'd like to ask you a question. What the bloody hell's going on? That's what I'd like to ask you.
Well, I think there's many things going on. One thing that's definitely under the shadows. I think everybody should watch is Out of the Shadows.
Out of the Shadows, yes. So I recommend everyone watch that.
It was really when it came to me, it just shocked me to the core, really, because of how extensive the problem of child trafficking in the so-called, I'm going to say so-called elite, because anybody that is elite to me does not go around doing the things that shows. But it goes in very deep, and it's in obviously the higher rankings of our whole of our global system.
It's a filthy scourge, isn't it? It's a dirty, horrible, disgusting thing. It's not something I've talked about a lot on here. And for people that don't know what we're talking about at all, Out of the Shadows unveils really, realistically, what's going on right across the board, from political right through to Hollywood, to all manner of different things, and shows you how deeply rooted it is. And saying that, you know, there was Simon Parkes who did a film about 4 weeks ago where he's just been interviewed at home and he's just telling people that something big's coming out. And he was saying on there that 35,000 children are going to be released, which have been released. And I mean, you know, Trump is a bit of a lunatic and nutter, but at the same time, he's a person that's behind a lot of pushing to break a chain that exists here, isn't he?
Yes, and a lot of others. I think the FBI recently closed down a compound. But what I also found was disturbing is obviously how ingrained it is in our music industry, for symbology and all of the references that are subliminally shown. It's subliminally shown, obviously, if you don't have awareness. So as soon as you have awareness, it's no longer subliminal to you. So then when you watch a video, you can adequately see who's puppeteering behind all of that. It's quite disturbing.
So if that's going on, which is in front of people's eyes, to be honest, because that's the best way of hiding it. If that's going on in all of that, which is absolutely horrendous, child trafficking, paedophilia, and all of that, which a lot of people say, oh no, nothing like that's going on. Well, I mean, Jimmy Savile got away with it for years and years and years and years and years, and was embroiled in a lot of people that are on that film, to be honest, and right up into royalty as well. And then you have things like Prince Andrew and Epstein, and you know, all the other things that hasn't come out as yet, but you know, will do. And I know that the even the press, and this goes in the Vatican, into government, into royalty, or into every level. The press are not. They've still got a bit of a lockdown on this themselves, of reporting anything on it, because it's been held back. But I do feel that they're somewhere along the way, it's got to come out.
Yeah, I think that's why it's not so publicly in the mainstream, because they have to be able to do it behind closed doors. Because it's going on behind closed doors. If it was out in the public eye and everyone knew about it, then those that were doing that would have a way of being able to hide themselves again.
Yes.
Whereas now it's a kind of a cloak, if you like. I know we're all closed in by this COVID-19, but it's also enabling things to happen, to bring things to light that people perhaps weren't.
Well, they needed to do something to keep people indoors and away from places so they can go and do what they need to do, because obviously these people can be picked up in their house, can't they?
Yes, and they're hiding them in tunnels and things like that. And another thing is I strongly recommended watch is it's also very Avicii kind of knew exactly what was going on, and in his last video that he made before he apparently committed suicide, which is very highly doubtful that it was suicide now, because he knew in his video for a better day about the paedophiles, and he shows that in his videos, and he also shows the children that have kind of come through that, basically going after all of the paedophiles and hanging them, and he ended up basically I think being taken out. Yeah, in the same way as Epstein was. I don't feel like Epstein killed himself at all. No. I think it was a nice cover-up for those that can take. Obviously, he had so much information, he could have brought so many people down, and it was too much of a risk to keep around. So that's why he spent a very short time inside.
I'm going to ask you a very strange question, but in relation to what we're in, because I said in the beginning of the show that every year we have flu, very bad virus, kills anywhere in between 160 to 250, to 650,000 people around the world. So, we have this, but do you think that this whole operation is part of a big operation that's been plandemic rather than pandemic? Do you know what I mean?
Well, with regards to the virus itself, it was actually mutated from a existing virus they already had a patent for. So it's been manipulated, man-made manipulated. It's not evolved from, and it's deliberate. Yeah. I would say it's definitely deliberate. Now, where, who, and all that thing, I don't know that side of it. But
because our country, people that are supposed to be the most immense people we have on the planet in government are inept.
Yeah, and each country doesn't know how to fight it because there is no cure for it. So in one sense, because it's a mutation, because it's been given other properties that can attack you in different ways that haven't been able to attack you in that way before, then we don't have the immunity in that way. We have some people are stronger than others in the sense of the immunity. That's why the scariest thing was when they started saying that obviously the respirators were going to be needed, because it's basically putting you on life support whilst you fight. And when it gets that critical, you're in the hands of God rather than they can really just hold you on the respirator, and you have to kind of either fight or not. It's what's also quite scary, I feel, is the fact that obviously now the hospitals are purely trying to focus on COVID-19, which means that there's a massive increase in people that have cancer and other related illnesses that aren't going to get the treatment. So when this is all over, we're going to have a massive influx.
Bow wave. Yeah. Completely.
Because of obviously people haven't been able to access treatment in the way that they've been able to access treatment before. So that's also going to be having a knock-on effect on people's lives later on. So this is not going to go away anytime soon, the problems that we're having. No. And because we have to kind of eradicate the issue as well as kind of, safeguard ourselves from catching anything. But also, I feel like the numbers themselves are not reflective, because people that are, at the moment, I know that people that are going and dying from, say, heart failure, etc., are still tested for COVID-19. And because there's certainly the everyone's had a coronavirus in a sense, because the coronavirus is based on a flu-like symptom. So we will have some genetic material of that flu-like symptom in our bodies. So therefore, that genetic code still comes back as saying that a person has COVID. So a lot of the COVID numbers are not exact. So they're not exact. So everybody that's kind of dying at the moment is kind of almost going down as COVID. So it's not given.
Well, they've actually said that they've actually admitted that a vast percentage of people that have died, COVID-19 was a contributing factor, not the main cause.
Yes, exactly. It's a contributing factor, and also we have elements of that virus inside. A virus is something that the body creates. So the virus is something our body creates to be able to get rid of a contagion inside of the body. So it's something that when we have a virus, it's something that our body is doing to be able to eliminate something else. So it's a contagion rather.
And we carry thousands of viruses, don't we?
Yeah, and we even carry cancer as well. Except, we carry.
And our mouths are full of disease.
Yes, and it's when something sparks it and then obviously makes it amplified. But I also feel like some of the news in the media, the fear around it is also a contributing factor, because if you deplete somebody's ability,
absolutely,
if you make somebody feel fearful of something, then as you were saying earlier on, if you feel very fearful of something, you've got less chance of healing from something, because you're more frightened of it rather than a feeling that I can fight this, I can do this. You don't necessarily have that kind of will.
It's orgy type. It's fear porn, isn't it? It's whipping people up into a frenzy. I mean, it's only today they are starting to talk about other people. They're talking about the homeless. They're talking about the backlog of people that obviously will sit there, because what you really want is somebody standing up there from the government that's saying, that is actually not talking about that, but saying we are dealing with these cancer, we are dealing with this, we are dealing with that as well, rather than just it's all focused on one thing.
Yeah, you want the good news. You want the people that have actually managed to survive.
Absolutely.
Recovered. To give hope and for other people.
Yeah.
The fact that obviously there's a lot of good that's come out of this. I know that there's more people walking around during this lockdown than what there has been prior to the lockdown. Obviously, there's more people at home, more people need to be able to get out, and then they're still being able to have their socialization, but you're having to keep a distance from each other.
Yeah.
So you can still kind of go out and enjoy nature. It's kind of making us see life from a different perspective.
Yeah, because you don't need all the things you need. And a lot of people go out there just to not look at themselves, to go out there to get something to make them feel good, when actually they need to make themselves feel good.
And also we used to buy things. We consider like our freedoms in basically going out and buying stuff, rather than going out and enjoying nature. Whereas now we're having to go out and enjoy nature for a walk. You are allowed out. I can't stand everyone keep telling me saying they're not allowed out, because you are allowed out for exercise. You are allowed out to be able to go and get your shopping. You are allowed out to go and get your medication. And the fear of then somebody turns around and says, "Oh, well, you're not allowed out." It's like, well, I can't go out. I can't go out. I shouldn't go out today. I shouldn't go out today. Well, actually, you can go out. You can go for a walk. You can even drive your car somewhere to go for a walk somewhere else.
Yeah.
But these things where people feel like they can't go out is almost like a self-imprisonment. It's almost like you're imprisoning yourself and being able to actually, still live your life, know that it's going on. It will end. I think it's going to become a part of our lives. It'll be like another flu that we have for a long time, because it's a new strain. It's a new strain. So it's not.
But it will change life, I feel, in a way going forward for certainly babies and young people. That I feel that social distancing will be here for a very, very long time, and the days of hugs and things a sort of distant memory. Do you know what I mean?
That's the fear, though. That's what There was a lady the other day. I was walking down the footpath, and the footpath was an equal way. And she turned around and said, "I haven't got enough room to walk down the footpath." I said, "You do, my dear, you do." I said, "I'll even cover my face for you, so you can feel comfortable walking past me."
Yeah.
And because I thought I'm going to be continuing walking, and I'm sure I'm going to bump into a few other people walking down the opposite direction. And she said, "Well, do you think so?" I said, "Yeah." So my husband's got cancer. So what she was really worried about was her husband getting cancer.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's like, so it was I couldn't give her any wider a berth. The footpath was enough for cycles and for people to walk by. But she was really, really concerned. And it's the concern, obviously, the fear side of things that I worry about is the effect on people's mental health.
I completely, is my next question, is the fact that I talked about it earlier on, that we could be roaming into a nanny state culture, which means that, I know that this is a very difficult time, and I'm not belittling it or making it look or making a joke out of it in any shape or form. What I'm looking at is the fact that, right now I'm indoors, but I could go out and get hit by a bus, or a tree could fall over on me. Anything can happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not in control of that. Well, we're seriously not in control of that. And when the Almighty decides that it's your turn, it's
absolutely
your turn, and it's not a single man that's going to be able to stop it, and there's not a single man that can make it happen.
No.
Because I feel like in that sense we're fated as to when our time comes. We don't get to choose. We don't get given a choice as to how we're going to.
No, it's not a question that you have multiple answers on. It's one answer. You're going.
Yes, as my nan says quite crudely, that she could be sat on the loo, and it could suddenly happen. So she doesn't have a fear of it. She still walks the dog every now and then, not as much as she did before, And they all, what I like about what they do in her neighbourhood is that they sit out on 11 o'clock, and they've still got the social side of things. They all talk over their gardens, and they all kind of share things like food and stuff, and they've got a real kind of sense of community about the efforts, because they've gone through a lot more than what we have. As the younger generation haven't gone through anything like this before. This is like I think the last time that anything serious was 1918 in the Spanish.
That's right, Spanish flu. Yeah.
And then there's also the talk of this 5G side of things, where people are worried because obviously increased amounts of radiation that's going to be used. I'm now being radiated in my head because I've got a mobile phone stuck to my ear, and we haven't had the mobile phones long enough to be able to do the test to see how many people have had long-term effects in that kind of thing.
Well, nobody knows the answer to that as yet with mobile phones.
No. Our technology seems to grow without us actually knowing what the effects are, and we desperately keep on. The technology grows at a rapid rate. It's one of the things I study at university was obviously the law of how fast technology grows, and it's a curve that just completely just goes right up, and then doubles itself every 3 months or so. So in another 7 months' time, our technology is going to be that much more advanced.
Yeah,
and that's why obviously they're requiring the 5G in order to be able to bring smart technology and all those bits and pieces together that they've already created to make that more fluid. But then there's the other side of things that we kind of lose our privacy, because then therefore kind of Google and the giants that are running kind of the internet and the World Wide Web and the Internet of Things are, being able to track every movement that you kind of make through mobile
well,
phones.
they know who you're speaking to on phones. They know who you're messaging because they read them, and they can track your phone and find out exactly where you are anywhere.
Yeah, totally, and they can access the camera on the phones. Which, if you think of one, you've got a positive on one side, you've got a negative on another. Every single thing has a positive and negative.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the right hand, it enables us to have higher communications, quicker communications, like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
and being able to share information. But then again, there's also the restrictions and censorship that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So,
and it's huge.
And yeah, well, you can hardly even have a freedom of speech, and because of worrying about what you're going to say, because you have to kind of police your talk.
Yeah.
Very, very kind of Orwellian in the sense that you might offend somebody, because now we're interconnected. Something you say on Facebook might offend somebody in another country, and then it breaks international community standards or international community standards. We've never had international community standards. We've had local community standards.
Yeah.
We've had country community standards. I mean, a country in North Korea, for instance, is totally shut off from the rest of the world, and it believes the propaganda that it gets told every single day by the speakers that go out every day telling them how their world leader created a beef burger and invented the cycle, etc., and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And but they were always preparing for a world war with America.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting to watch some of those things if you aren't too familiar with what's been going on in North Korea.
It is fascinating to watch. Yeah. I mean, these people are like I suppose happening here on a very much smaller scale, but these people are being whipped up into such a frenzy that they are in absolute hysteria. Do you know what I mean? When they see him.
Yes, because they have to cry on demand. If he cries, they have to cry.
Yeah.
He's always right. It's quite incredible to think that the amount of surveillance. I watched a documentary of this girl that was a defector. Her and her mother and her sister left North Korea because the father ended up going into a camp, like a prison camp, which meant that they couldn't get access to food and things like that. So they went over to China. One of them got trafficked, unfortunately, the sister, and she came back later on when she reached South Korea, and then now she works in South Korean news. But it must be such a mind trip for her, because she says that when she was younger, she used to think that her supreme leader could read her thoughts.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, she's in South Korea. She's got a fantastic role that she's playing. She's, in a work that she does, and trying to wake up more people and try and get more freedom for the North Koreans that are still stuck in the mind state that they've grown up into all of their lives.
But they're kept in a complete bubble. Complete bubble.
They don't understand, but it shows you how much programming can really.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I completely agree with you, because what you've got there is you've got a succession of leaders that are just locked down a country completely.
Yeah.
And if you don't abide by it, then they shoot you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how draconian it is. I mean, I'm not saying it's as bad as that here, but because it isn't. But in a way, some of it can be. Do you know what I mean?
It definitely shows you what programming can do.
Yeah.
And it should open your eyes to realise that actually we're all subjected to programming every single day. We turn on television, you're introduced to things that are called channels.
Yeah.
And on those channels, they have programs. So therefore, it's a programming. It's a sense of program. What she's done is it kind of teaches you about it, shows you about life. They talk about the tax returns, they talk about this, that, and the other. They talk about kind of things that are involved in our way of life.
Yeah.
And the news tells you what it wants you to talk about. So the news tells you what it wants to be. What
you need to know that they're telling you.
Yeah, and so that it becomes, you're allowed to do this. Prior to COVID, obviously, when people are obviously highly worried about it now because it involves health. But prior to this, we had the big scare about Brexit, and prior to that, we had big scare about terrorism.
Yeah.
And everybody was fighting the refugees, and we had the media scares about people being able to, but the rest that hasn't stopped, even though it's not in the main.
No, I know it's still there.
But people would think it would stop.
I know, but because it's not being reported on. It's like the people that all flooded. Nobody talks about them. Are they back in their houses? Where are they? It's like the parents with the boy that got killed by the woman that came out and had diplomatic immunity, that when went to America, they're not on TV anymore, don't exist. Prince Andrew, what all of that was starting to build on him all went flat. Nothing.
Yeah, so you literally had one interview which was highly flawed, but I think it was there's so many flaws out there. I just it repulses me.
It does, and me as well.
And because of just how blasé he feels about he didn't show any shock or any kind
he didn't.
Or any kind of affinity with like the people that have actually been affected by Epstein, and just seeing it as a convenient place to stay. And there's so many things.
Well, I mean, really who in their right mind that's supposedly a human being with compassion, understanding, and everything else, knowing he's a sex offender, said that he had to fly over to see him and stay there for 4 days with him to say goodbye to him.
Yeah, so and the mindset, I can't.
It's just bonkers.
It is, but like you say, a lot of the other stories that go on in the world have kind of all dulled down, and everything is continuously pumping out fear and worry about COVID-19. Now, the government's response to the PPE is. It shouldn't even be a problem, because it really shouldn't be a problem. If they can close a country and make a country go into lockdown within 3 weeks, they can get PPE, no problem.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be having a problem.
Well, they shouldn't be, but 3 months later, they still are.
Yeah, which is again making people worry, because then they feel like, well, do I wear a mask? Do I don't wear a mask? Do I wear a mask? Do I don't wear a mask?
Yeah.
Just recently, we've had now that they're considering stopping having quarantine based on the flights coming in, because they're still having flights coming in from.
I know. I've been reporting on it on this program. I've been reporting it for the last 2 months. The fact that there's 15,000 people flying in every day to this country, British nationals, that are not being quarantined, not being looked at, not temperature checked or anything. And then, you get Matt Hancock on the TV when he's asked the question, are they being checked or anything? He says, no, they're not. Now, what me personally, as a free thinking and person that actually has an understanding of things, that is complete and utter shambolic. And, that makes a mockery of the whole thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, because it's like kind of allowing us. If you imagine, it's like allowing infection into your country with it being unchecked.
Yeah. Well, it's just walk in. It's fine. And now they don't know whether they're going to do it or not do it. And this is like 2 months down the line. It's been going on. Yeah. So why do it doesn't matter, does it? Most of these people are here. 300,000 of them coming here.
Yes, and the virus, I was about to say contagion, because like I said, virus is created by the body. So the contagion is still going to be infecting people. So whilst that's going to be a part of our life, it's going to be like you catch a flu, like on a normal winter period or the seasonal period where we catch a flu. It's going to be a part of our lives. And it's affected the world. It's not going to go. And I know that they're trying to do vaccines and things like that, but I don't trust vaccines.
I'm telling you now, I'm not putting any vaccine in my body that they produce, because I don't trust them.
And there's like my dad was saying, the amount of times that they've had like flu shots and people still get flu. Because it might not be that strain of flu, it might be a different strain, and it mutates. And I think once it comes in cross, it might meet another. One contagion might meet another, and then you have a new one. And I think these kinds of situations, even though these kinds of situations need to be managed better, because of the way in which our world is. We're not isolated anymore. I have friends all around the world. I have friends in Singapore, I have friends in America, I have an on Facebook, I have friends in Australia, all over the world. And so, you know, we're able to jump on a plane and go somewhere. We're able to be able to communicate. There's a lot of things that we're in the middle of a shift at the moment. I also kind of think in some senses that Mother Nature's kind of had a hand to play in some ways.
I agree.
He said, you know, get in your homes. You don't need to be thinking about buying your latest things from B&Q. You can kind of manage on food, roof over your head, food in your belly. All the rest is extras. Make sure you've got friends. You know, keep your family members. Make sure they're safe. Make sure you're safe. Focus on things that are creative. Focus on focus on gardening, being out in nature. Enjoy those kinds of things, rather than this kind of high, fast-paced world where everyone feels a part of the rat race. But we've had a break from the rat race, which is a really good thing. Because people aren't, stuck in they've got time to think, you've got time to explore, you've got time to be creative, and those kinds of, I think, it's going to focus on those kinds of things, focus on things that you've always wanted to do, that you perhaps haven't had the opportunity to be able to do. Do some artwork and do some journaling, do some blogs, do some, things that are going to be able to occupy your mind, other than focusing on the TV too much. It's okay to be aware of things, but to delve too much into the fear side of it, where it actually occupies the whole, that's damaging your mental health, and then obviously it's going to damage your health, because to be healthy, you have to be healthy of mind and body, and of your spirit. So kind of feed the spirit time, and not pollute yourself with the fear side, the fear factor of something that is beyond your control. Because we're doing everything that we can. We are limiting ourselves to where we go. People have been doing that. People have been following all the guidelines. So they should be, and they are doing that, and it is having an effect on the curve, as it were. The government wanted to flatten the curve, and it's done that. I think we're on the other side of the peak now.
Yeah.
But obviously, this is going to be around for a long time, because it's like once upon a time, England had no spiders that bit you and caused you to have infection. Now we do, because one spider mates with another spider, ends up creating a spider that can affect you and can hurt you.
Yeah.
The false widow, for instance, has come around. But our world will have these infections and things that we can have, and they will change, and they will come, because of the type of world that we live in now, because we live in a world where we go different places. We're not.
The world is small. The world is very small, isn't it? Really.
You think about the amount of the rainforest people. Did they really want to have the invasion of us defending our technology and our way of life upon them and infecting them with the cold? They never had a cold. They never had any of those things.
Never heard of it. They don't know anything about colds.
They used to have herbal medicines and be able to keep themselves healthy, live long lives. We kind of gave them, through our transportation of meeting that community, then be able to give them our infections and lower their immunity.
Yeah.
So I think my dad has a saying is mind over matter matters a lot. He's one to not. He won't even take a paracetamol for pain. He's quite a you don't need to do, you can manage colds and things, just he pours a glass of rum on the night time kind of thing. He doesn't believe in tablets and those kinds of things and medical stuff. So he's quite like a soldier in a way. He even broke a bone and didn't even have a paracetamol and just carried on, and it healed quite quickly. He was like, whereas I couldn't do that. I told you I couldn't do that. But
I'll tell you what, it's absolutely fascinating what you're talking about. How, time is ticking. But what you've said there, I'm sure will resonate with so many people because you brought a broad spectrum.
I don't want people feeling frightened.
I don't want people feeling in fear either.
You know, because what will be, and you know, focus on the things. I mean, people have lived for generations and generations. We are the generation that has survived out of all the generations that have lived before. So that should tell us something that the human race is capable of, you know, continuing and being able to strive and thrive and continue forward. You know, and that doesn't hide away. You know, if it wasn't for technology and, you know, all of these things, look, we probably would have had a lot worse a situation because, you know, news wouldn't have travelled and we wouldn't have been prepared and we wouldn't have kind of.
Well, you can imagine that we had this and we had no phones and no internet.
Gosh, yeah, but in one way, we wouldn't have mind pollution.
No, we wouldn't.
I'm saying about there's being a positive and negative about everything, right? Technology is like, you wouldn't have the mind pollution that obviously the fear factor kind of keeps generating. You know, in the older times, you know, you'd be in your local village, you wouldn't be travelling as far as you did like we do now.
Yeah.
You wouldn't travel so quickly, so it might have been isolated more. But the news side of it, because there's more people, because there's more, you know, we have to kind of. We have a double-edged sword where in technology. I don't know if you've ever seen Elon Musk's interview with.
I have actually, yeah.
Joe, when he talks about technology and how it's even he was you know, he's doing masses with technology right now. He's just sent up satellites for his Starlink, but he was worried about. You know, it's either going to be positive or negative, but I can't say which because obviously AI is learning all the time.
Yeah.
So we're teaching AI through our interactions with AI because I'm meaning our smartphones and the way in which we communicate, the way in which we share on.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Sophia, the robot human that learns all of the time, is continuously learning. Where it will go, even Elon Musk research doesn't actually know. So, like, we have the positive and we have the negative side of things, where you might have more control side of things and having restrictions on what one might say. Which I feel is really difficult because if you do that, if you end up curtailing what people have to say about difficult topics, even whether somebody else agrees or not agrees, it's not offensive. It's somebody's opinion. You don't
Absolutely.
You don't have to take everybody's opinion.
No, you don't.
And you have your ability to be able to form your own. So you can be informed by other people's opinions, and it might sway you a little bit this way and a little bit that way, and you do your own little research here and you think, actually, no, I think this, and you think something different. But everybody's opinion is valid, and so therefore you should be able to speak freely. If we end up being a society where we can't speak freely anymore, then we've lost our ability.
We've lost it.
Yeah,
completely.
We've lost because we lose the creativity. You lose the ability to do a critique. You lose the ability to do, you know, to function humanly.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't agree with all the censorship.
No, I don't either. I completely disagree with it. Crystal, we're running out of time, unfortunately, which is great shame. We haven't talked about anything that well, obviously you're not doing lots of things at the moment, but you're probably composing, you're putting music together.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of music, and kind of what the lady was talking about earlier on. I'm doing a lot of kind of meditative music, and a lot more relaxed and trance-like, and just kind of, you know, be free with my composition, be free with my art, and it's also helping me to kind of be reflective of more of a positive mind state rather than putting myself in a situation where I'm feeling continuously bombarded with
Shit.
You know, yeah, exactly, because that's something that's beyond my control. Even with all the research that you do, you know, always bear in mind, you know, if it starts taking over you could turn it off.
Yeah, yeah.
Media, you can turn. You have the switch. You have the power to be able to say, no, thank you, not today. I'm going to focus on this.
Yeah.
And so don't always be afraid. Feel hopeful and joyful and share. You know.
Yeah. Well, Crystal, you've been amazing. And if anyone wants to get hold of Crystal Desprez, you can get hold of her on a Facebook page, can't you?
Yes, it's Music Crystal, just facebook.com/Music Crystal, and then you can message me, have a look at my website, which is www.crystaldesprez. My Desprez name is a difficult one to spell. So it's CRYSTALDESPRIT. And yes, if you go on Music Crystal, it's easier on Facebook, because then you can get in touch with me there. Happy to get in touch with anybody. I love to do anything musical and creative and collaborative and artistic. I love that. I think we should be focusing a lot more on our dreams and aspirations. So yeah, if I can.
And absolutely always love you coming on this show, Crystal.
It's been great. I know we've talked about some darker.
Yeah, but you know, hey, look, we can talk about it because it's real. Do you know what I mean? And look, the show was always to talk about anything. Do you know what I mean? So
there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's always light.
Oh yes, yeah. We hold the light and we shine rigorously.
Yes. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's lovely to talk to you.
No, it's fantastic. It's fantastic to speak to you as well, Crystal. And we will speak to you again, because we'll get you back on, hopefully, when things have died down a bit and all sorts, and we can talk about your music.
Wouldn't it be lovely to be talking about the end of lockdown? That'd be amazing. And when things can kind of return. I think everybody, it's been a fantastic funny post on Facebook when the pubs open and everyone's kind of going, oh, like zombies, like waiting for the bars to open.
I know.
But I hope that we do get to be able to enjoy a summer's evening one day in the sun, having a glass. That would be nice.
That would be really nice, and I'll be there with you, and so will everyone else.
Lovely.
All right.
I wish everyone well, and much love.
Thanks, Crystal. No problem. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. What a lovely lady, Crystal Desprez. She's been on many of the shows I've done. Lovely lady. Tonight she wanted to speak to me on Thursday, because I do a Thursday night show, as you know, which I'll remind you near the end of the show, which is very much about you. It's my phone number's put out. And you'll see, hopefully, you'll have it on the bottom of the screen here on Thursday. You can ring me, text me, Facebook me. We have our mystery man of all seasons on here. I don't know who this is. We're about to find out. Hello, mystery man. Who are you? Not from the Mystery Machine, are you? Hello.
It's the world according to Castro.
Hello, how are you?
Yes, one is fine, old boy. How the devil are you?
I'm very well, yes. How are you doing, Cusbro?
Yes.
The world according to Cusbro. This would be interesting.
Yeah, well, you get actually get...
Sorry? Stand still.
You get some brownie points this week.
Do I get brownie points this week? Why do I get brownie points this week, then?
Well, you actually shared a film on your Facebook page that I've been on about you watching.
Oh yeah, yeah. They live. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's a very thought-provoking film.
Well, some would say it's very similar to what we're in.
Yeah, they certainly would. But it doesn't mean to say you've got to all go out and get black sunglasses.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. And how's life with you? Is good, yeah?
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, last Tuesday, I think it was, I was put on this furlough thing, you know, and started...
I thought that's something that farmers did with their fields, wasn't it? Furlough?
Yeah, I don't know where they got that wrong with, with the bloke who invented it. I don't know. But everything came out very quickly. And we're going to call it something. And we saw, look,
there's a furlough. There's a furlough over there.
Maybe
Stand still. Don't move too much because you're breaking up.
I'm not moving at all. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can now. Yes, absolutely fine. It's been a good show tonight because we delved into the guests, which is very interesting. Crystal had a lot to say about a lot of things there, which are very, very interesting. And that's what the show's about. It's about bringing out different viewpoints, different understanding, different realities. Do you know what I mean?
Well, absolutely. It takes it away a little bit from the coronavirus. Hearing all the time, all the news is taken up about it. Everything is taken up about it, and it just gets so tedious.
Yeah.
And, if you're lining up outside, well, I don't do that anymore anyway. Line up outside Tesco's or Sainsbury's or anything like that. You're in this snake. It goes round and round. And all around the bloody car park.
Yeah, I know.
And I can't be arsed with that. So I go there about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you can walk straight in.
Where is that?
That's anywhere.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Barnum, Borden.
Yeah. The thing is, Jason, the interesting factor is that you're in that snake, I know, that goes round and round and round and round. You're all looking at each other. Nobody actually speaks because obviously British people don't really talk to each other. Do you know what I mean? It's like being on a commuter train. And then you get this security guard sitting there that's on his phone, obviously, and every now and again he looks up and says, you can go in. And then you go and get a trolley and you wipe it down, all sorts. You walk in, and then you're in unknown territory. Do you know what I mean? Because there's no walking around.
I've only queued up twice.
Yeah.
And that was what? I suppose it took me about half an hour to get in, and I thought, fuck that, I ain't gonna do that again.
Yeah.
But each of those times when I got to the front, I was near the front. I was talking to the guy.
Yeah.
There people in. I said, hey, how are you then? I bet you wish you was bloody somewhere else and all that. And have a little conversation. No other fucker would talk to them.
Well, nobody talks to anyone in queues in Britain.
No, when you get in there, it's funny because when you're outside, 2 meters apart or whatever it is.
It's all very civil.
You get inside, unless, of course, you have a plan of the whole layout of the supermarket. Right, and you make your list up according to that. You don't stand a bloody chance. You go in there.
Yeah, I know.
You go in there. You go into an aisle there, and there's some 2 or 3 people there, and they're looking at the place where you want to go. So you walk along a bit further, and you go into another aisle, and there's 2 or 3 people doing the same bloody thing.
Yeah.
You walk up anywhere close to them, they bugger off.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, some of that.
Yeah, they do.
And,
and then when you walk out the end of the aisle, and if it's one of these big ones where you've got double aisles and stuff like that, you find you're actually bumping into a trolley that's coming by.
Yeah, you still get people talking to each other there. You think, what the hell's going on?
Well, yeah, of course.
What is it? You think, oh, well, nah.
I mean, it's natural. It's natural to talk to people, isn't it?
Of course it is.
But the problem is, a lot of people don't want to talk to you. I'm not talking about you personally, but
Yeah, but you see people get out of cars and they got these masks and that on, and they got their gloves and that on, and they're queuing up, and you think to yourself, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, but what's interesting is they're wearing gloves and they're wearing a mask and they're wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
But they're outside.
Yeah, but, if somebody sneezed on them, it could go on their leg, and then they take their gloves and mask off, and then they rub their leg or whatever, and then it's on their hands.
Well, then they go into national emergency and get their legs amputated, don't they?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It really is. I looked on Wish the other day, And you see some of these masks and all that you can get, because it's coronavirus or carnivorous virus, as I call it.
Yeah.
But you look on there, and they've got these old bubonic plague masks.
Well, that'd be interesting.
Well, the doctors used to wear, which is like a great big beak and all that sort of thing on there. Just imagine lining up in a queue at Tesco with that on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, don't you think there's been a lot of confusion with this, though? Because, in the beginning, you don't have to wear masks, but now they tell you should wear masks, but they say don't wear masks because the NHS might run out.
No, anybody could. Well, it's not a case of wearing masks. Let's get this straight, shall we? It's not a case of wearing masks. I mean, general public, you don't need to wear masks. If you're out, you're walking about, or you're doing the exercises, you're going, you're queuing up, you don't need masks. You just put, it's just like a silk scarf or something around you. It's ample if you're that worried about it. Yeah, it's just in close proximity. People sneeze or you touch things. But I mean, if you wear gloves, that's fine. Or you just, just put this hand gel on or something like that, antiseptic thing. But you're gonna be fine.
Did you wear gloves? Did you wear gloves, Trace?
It is a little bit scaremongering, a little bit.
Yeah. Did you wear gloves?
What, want to go into the shops?
Yeah.
No, God bugger.
No, I don't wear gloves or anything like that. And, you don't know how many people's picked up your box you're holding in your hand, then thinking, I don't want that really, and put it back down.
Well, that's it, you really don't have, you've got a clue.
It is.
You've got no idea at all. Well, they keep on saying now that, you pick something up, you've got to take it. When you pick something up, and you see something which is like £2 cheaper, there's that the same thing, just down the aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to put it there, and pick the other one up.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But look, well, when people go shopping, they're inquisitive, aren't they? Because not only are they programmed by all the propaganda they get in adverts, so that must be the best thing because it's advertised on TV. But they're there actually looking at things, trying to weigh up what it is and whether I like it or not.
Well, yeah, there is that. But I mean, when you look at, if you got, like Susie, my other half, which go shopping with her. God, even though you got a list, it's up and down every single bloody aisle of the supermarket. You know what I mean? And nah.
And then you probably end up going back to the first aisle you went from.
No, that's shoe shopping, that is.
Oh, yeah. But, what you said...
Shoe shopping, that is.
What you said earlier on is very true, actually, is the fact that, when you go into these shops, you don't know where everything is, do you? Because you naturally assume some things will be with some things, then you find they're not. They're not. Do you know what I mean?
Well, your other half gives you a list and like that because, it's no good than saying to me, Susie saying to me, like, can you get some milk? Can you get some butter? Can you get some...
That by the time you get to word 3, you're thinking, I need some paper.
Yeah, but any more than 3 things, and you get in those front doors, even though you recite them all the way down this bloody queue before you get in there, you get in there, the door's up, you walk in for the door, it's gone.
It's everything. It's all gone. Do supermarkets are like time machines, really, aren't they? Because you're then standing there thinking, what am I getting?
Well, even the corner shop, like, you get sent up there, somebody gets some milk and gets some whatever. You get up there, you're thinking, right, okay, I need milk, I need cheese, and I need bread. Milk, cheese, bread. Milk, cheese, bread. How difficult can it get?
Yeah.
You walk straight into that door, it's like a different time zone, like you say.
Yeah.
You walk in there and you forgot everything. Shit.
But
and what are they coming in for? And 9 times out of 10, you end up walking about halfway home, and you've got a little bit more, you realise, oh shit, I shouldn't get that, did I? But back you go.
Shopping is a sort of transcendental journey, really, isn't it? Because it is even more so now because we are standing in a queue as program machines with our gaps, waiting to go in, all trying to remember what it is we're meant to buy. Then we go in there, and the great thing is, obviously, the supermarkets, move things around as well. So even if you knew where everything was, you might not the next day. And then you go round and you pick.
You know, they don't out matters, you know, when they do it. You know, I don't know whether they do it during this outbreak and that sort of thing, but before they should do it to confuse people.
Yeah.
So you, I suppose the idea there is you go down there and think, oh, they used to be there, but yeah, I could do with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Buy that. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you used to know where the toilet rolls were because there wasn't any.
Well, that's it. You just go to any hole and it's got nothing there. And you always ask, don't you? Have you got any round the bag?
Yeah. and what's interesting, well, I say it's a transcendental experiment going shopping in a supermarket. You take your trolley and you're wandering around and there's lots of things that entice you. Do you know what I mean? You see on the shelves and you think, oh, that looks quite good, or that looks quite... It's all sitting there saying, buy me, buy me, buy me. And you want to buy and you wander around and you go around, you pick up your bits and pieces eventually. And then you go to a checkout that you have to queue in a very long... I was telling a story. I went to a shop this week. I'm not going to name which one it is, but it's a big supermarket. And I walked in there and had a trolley and was walking around, and there's no queues going in. I thought, this is great. So, and it was afternoon time.
I know what you're going to say.
And I was walking around and having a look, buying a few bits and pieces. Got halfway into this store and found this whacking great queue to leave. And what it is, a lot of supermarkets actually have queues going down aisles to their checkouts. But this particular supermarket thought it deemed the best thing to do is cordon it all off everywhere. So you've got to go up and down you've got a stun line that comes out at the checkout area, which they then tell you which one you can go to. Standing in a queue, and there was an oldish guy that rushed over, went underneath the fence bit, or whatever you want to call it, cordon bit, pushed me out the way, grabbed something off the shelf, and I said to him, you do realise it was supposed to be 2 meters apart? He said, I'm not waiting in that queue. Well, he used more terminology than that. He said, I'm not waiting in that queue. And then he went out and did self-checkout thing. I mean...
Why? Was he pissed on the pavement?
and you know, and we go out, and do you know one of the things about transcendental food shopping in supermarkets is the fact that you go in there, you have it in your head what you're going to buy, but then you don't know. And then when you walk out, you're walking out the door, you still don't remember some of those things you should have bought, and you see your trolley's full up with stuff you didn't want. When you go out of the supermarket, you stand there and look at the car park and scratch your head. Where did I park? And you've only been gone away from it for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Where's my car? Where did I park my car? Where is it?
That's it. I mean,
are you there? Jace, stand still. Stand still. I didn't hear any of that.
I'm furloughed now, you know, so I get 8% from the government, and the company puts extra 20% on, so I get full wages. I don't get no bonus, obviously, but
yeah,
I get the full wages, and I'm off for 3 weeks. So I've got another 2 weeks to go.
Yeah.
So you go in the supermarket around about 5:30, 6 o'clock, you can just walk straight in.
Yeah.
It ain't a problem. But you can imagine, can't you, queuing up, you know, at the midday or something like that, with a snake where to get in, spend 45 minutes an hour to get in there.
Well, you get dizzy after a while, don't you? Because you keep going round and round.
You get this trolley full, right? Even though you got a list, you got a trolley full, but you can't go down one or two certain aisles to get your articles you want, because people are there, like, you know, they're still there chatting away.
Yeah.
Well, you go there and you think, I'll sod that, I'll go back later. But then you're checking your list and you think, oh, right, yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, you think, oh, well, I've got to keep back. I've had enough of this, that sort of thing. You get outside, right, it's still snaking around, but you forgot one or two things.
Yeah. So what you do is you think about you pop into a different place.
Yeah, there's also the other thing, because we're a working farmer, right opposite is Sainsbury's, big Sainsbury's. And it's only like a minute walk. You try going there at lunchtime to get something to eat, just like
a sandwich or something.
Sandwich or something like that.
Yeah.
No, you got to join a whole bloody great queue. Oh, sod that. How pathetic is that?
Yeah. Don't they have self-service checkouts there then?
No, they won't let you in. You got to join the queue in the garage.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The garage at Sainsbury's just sells petrol or cigarettes and baccy. That's it. There's no one in there. You can't go in there to just go and get like a sandwich or anything like that morning. No. You could do like 3 weeks ago, not anymore.
Yeah.
It's getting ridiculous.
I mean, it is, and it makes you wonder where we're going, because you imagine being in a Cobra meeting, and they're going to be there tomorrow discussing this.
A
Cobra. This is all about beer, isn't it? Really, we got a coronavirus, and they go to a Cobra meeting. That's lager. It's all lager, isn't it? They're all.
A Cobra meeting? You mean undercover, like?
No, Cobra. It's a Cobra meeting.
Oh, Cobra.
Yeah, but we got a coronavirus, and he goes to a Corona meeting. It's all beer, isn't it? All lager. And how we come out of this?
Well, that's easy, isn't it? That's easy. We just go down the pub and have a Margaret Thatcher's.
Yeah, but the problem is, I do feel pubs and restaurants are going to be the very last thing, aren't they?
Of course they are. Of course they are.
And then you're going to have a queue going in like Tesco's, where
No. I can't see. This is a serious point now, mate. You know me.
All right.
I'm 60. I'm 60 on the 26th of November.
I know you are.
And the day after, you're 57, are you not?
Oh, 58.
58.
1,000 years old. Yeah, we were born just a day apart.
Yeah, just a day apart. But I'm the big milestone, I'll be 60.
Yeah.
It doesn't look at the moment I'm going to be celebrating that too much, does it?
Well, I don't know. It might change, mightn't it? Because, obviously, well, I don't know, because, we could, I mean, the summer by the summer, we'd probably be coming out of this. And then, of course, it's winter, which, what do you get? A winter flu again, don't you?
Well, yeah, but what's that got to do with anything?
Well, because, they say there's probably be a second knock-on strain or something.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with flu?
Sorry?
No, because, let's face it, we come to the point where they say, right, we can relax this, okay? But how are they going to do it? How are they going to do the pubs and restaurants? They can't just let a handful of people in. They can't just queue them up like they do in Tesco's or Sainsbury's,
I know.
It ain't going to happen. Pubs are not going to happen. Not until the new year.
Right. Well, I think if it goes,
even if they did open, when you look at sort of pubs and eatery pub,
yeah.
They don't want to be close to it.
You're breaking up a little bit, Jace. Just stand still. You're talking about. I didn't get any of that. If you can run that past us again.
All right, try again.
Yeah.
You get your weather. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
You get your Weatherspoons. You get the other big conglomerates, that sort of thing. Places, Hungry Horses and that. You're not going to get people going in there. Not until the new year.
Really?
And then some. No, because even if it was lifted a month or two before, do you really think they're going to go in there? People are going to go in there and be close to others?
Well, they won't be allowed to. They won't be allowed to, Jace. They won't be allowed to. It will be a case where you're gonna find that there'll be lines on the floor where you can only to stand 2 meters apart from each other. Tables and chairs would be 2 meters away from each other, and you know, it will be only you know, in the people you come with in family that.
It cannot be managed.
No, it can't be managed because I'll tell you why. Because you always get drunk Dan, don't you, or drunk Fred, or someone, or that loves everyone and wants to hug everyone and all sorts, don't you? Or wants to come over and talk to you.
Well, of course you do, especially when I've had a few times. Now, you know, if someone's sneezing or coughing in there, it's going to be like someone shouting bomb in a 70s pub.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is that the problem is that when they do unlock them, you can imagine where everyone's going to be, can't you?
There's going to be no bugger there.
Well, I think if they open them up, I'd be very surprised if they're not open before Christmas, because, you know, I mean, a whole year virtually where, you know, you have got an enormous amount of pubs that will millions of pubs be out of business, and you are then going to have a very, very small amount of places that are going to be open. A lot of restaurants are going to hit the wall. Those that are open are going to be absolutely jam solid. This is Christmas, remember?
Well, yeah, I know. And a lot of people will be sticking their fingers up at Gordon Ramsay, won't they? Saying, hey, you're not coming here now.
But, you know, the thing is that I feel that things are changing. They're going to change over the coming next few weeks. Obviously, kids are going to go back to school. But, you know, as soon as you open the door for people, you know, schools, for instance, I mean, you take your kids to school, but all the parents are there. You see them all congregate round each other when they're picking kids up. They all got to stand 2 meters apart. Do you think that'll happen? I mean, I go to the supermarket like you. Where's 2 meters between some of these people? It doesn't exist. And this is why I'm saying this. I don't disagree with you, because it's unworkable. Because
it is unworkable.
We are in a situation where they will try and enforce 2 meter rule, but it is impossible to enforce, because within inside ourselves, this is what I'm talking about, a nanny state. Don't you feel that?
How could, you know, you could say enforce the rule at schools, that sort of thing, and let somebody in a class that would have normally had like 30 in the class, you'd have like 10.
Yeah.
Right? But you've still got about a couple of hundred kids in the school. What happens at break time?
Oh, yeah, they all go outside.
They go out to the playground and play.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. It's another bollocks. They won't, and they shouldn't, and they won't open. All I'm interested in is the Thatcher's arms being open.
Well, I was going to ask you, what do you miss most in a lockdown? And I would think that is a pint of beer, isn't it, Jace?
No, it's a pint of Aston Press down at Thatcher's Arms.
Yeah.
Down in Moorland in Somerset, about 200 yards from where you live.
Well, absolutely, from the studios of Inview, yes.
And I missed here 2:30 to 3 morning.
Yes, it's a late one there at times. Time stands still.
Yeah, I'm standing still.
Time stands still. It does after a while when you're there. But you know, on a nice evening, you know, I mean, it's nice to sit outside with a glass of beer, whatever, watch the world go by, listen to the birds, and see the sun striking the leaves and the plants, and you know, I mean, it's great, you know.
Yeah, it is great. And then you get inside the Thatcher's Arms and you can listen to Dave's wit all night.
Yeah.
And in the early hours of the morning.
Yes. Yes, he's an interesting character.
I often did. I will do.
He's an interesting character, yeah. But it is worrying because
if I can tell, you know, if I can say this, right, the first time both of us ever went in there is when I was giving you a hand.
That's right.
To move from Bridgewater-ish
Yeah.
to there, and we went into Thatcher's Arms, and it's an old worldy pub.
Very small.
And you go down steps and you hit your head on the beam before you get in there. And the beams in there really are like old sugar, that sort of thing. You had to be like 5 foot, less than 5 foot not to hit them.
Yeah.
And it's a strange place. But you walk in there and everybody turns around to you, like they do in every other pub. But instead of just looking at you and turning away, they looked at you and said, "Good evening."
Yeah, they're nice. They're pleasant. They're polite.
But for the first time, both of us never even, encountered that before.
No.
And what was going through my mind was, we're out here in the sticks, and I've seen a few horror movies and that. Are we going to get taken downstairs or something after a few drinks or something? Are they going to be spiked? Are we going to be cable tied to this chair and interrogated something rotten?
Yeah.
But nothing could be further from the truth.
No, absolutely. Very, very friendly.
Absolutely friendly.
Amazing place. Really is. Yeah. Go, but you step back in time.
So many times. And you couldn't find a better pub. There's nothing there like pool tables or anything like that. No jukeboxes, but it's just so beautiful. And the people are lovely.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know if Dave sent you a big check in the post. Yeah. Yeah. But he may do, you never know. But yes. And I do feel that that day will come. I feel that day will come.
Yeah.
When what year in, I'm not sure at the moment, but I would be very surprised if it's not actually, or a lot of them aren't open by Christmas, to be honest, because there's going to be, I don't think a celebration as such, but I do feel relief, because when things start to open and people start going out, then the floodgate opens, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, this is it. This is what I mean. Whether you agree with the government or not, you have to agree on one thing. And they cannot open. They cannot come out of lockdown earlier than they think.
Yeah.
It is wise.
But everything will be okay tomorrow because Boris is back.
Oh.
Boris is back in town. I've lost him. I don't know. He might be speaking me on the side of the moon. Are you there, Jason?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I said all will be good because Boris is returning tomorrow.
Well, Boris is returning, but he's returning as what?
Well, that's a good point.
Did you have a simian in him?
It could be a simian. It could be a doppelganger. It could be a humanoid.
Have a simian in him, yeah.
Yeah, there is when you put the two together, they don't quite look the same, but that's my opinion.
Together, you amalgamate them, and they are.
Yeah. You amalgamate them, I suppose you'd have something quite incredible, wouldn't you? We lost him again. He's dipping in and out, he is. Young Jason, my Cusbro, the world according to Cusbro. And he's gone. There you are. He's signal's completely gone. Well, my thanks to Jason and the world according to Cusbro. I think that was very interesting. Fascinating about Super. He's actually come back. He's actually come back, aren't you? Aren't you?
I'm back, just like Boris.
Just like Boris, absolutely. We're going to wrap it up in a minute anyway. But,
yeah,
it's been absolutely fascinating to talk to you, Cusbro. And I feel that a lot of people can relate to what you were talking about. You know what I mean? In supermarkets and stuff like that. And as this is a viewpoint for everyone to share and express their views, opinions, and everything else. So I feel that, it has been very valid and very interesting what you said.
well, yeah,
And I've been on you for bloody, what, I don't know, 18 months, 2 years to watch They Live.
They Live, yes.
I'm glad you have.
I have. And it's been on my wall as well.
Yeah, I know. Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Yes.
Ex-WWF he was at the time when he made that.
Yeah.
Wrestler. A very thought-provoking film.
Yes, we're all going to buy sunglasses from it.
Yeah, John Carpenter, as I remember, made that, didn't he?
He did. John Carpenter, yeah.
Very, very visionary.
Yeah. Well, you have a good week out there, young Jason.
Yeah, well, I've got another couple of weeks to go yet.
What, you're still off for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I've got another couple of weeks to go.
Oh, that's good. Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get full pay and all that for it. So
yeah,
they're out in the country here.
That's good. And give my regards to young Susie. And it's fantastic to have you on. And we look forward to speaking to you in the not too distant future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's nice. I expect
we have to sort our birthdays out.
We will. Well, change them. Thank you very much, young Jason.
Thank you.
And I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
Bye. Young Jason there, McCusbro. Fantastic to hear from him. A lovely guy. Plug in a certain place, certain establishment. That's it, really. We've had a ball tonight with Vanilla, Nikki, Crystal, and now Jason McCusbro. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. And that's been a lot of fun. It's nice to move a little bit away from the two words that everyone's talking about and look at other things. We will return on Thursday night, 7 o'clock. That's when the Inview Connect returns. That's Let's Connect. That's all about you. There will be a phone number being put up on screen here, which will be my mobile, which is this thing in my hand here, where you can contact the studio on Thursday night and talk about just about anything you want to. And it doesn't have to be about anything that's particularly in the news. If you've got anything that's worrying you, if you've got anything you want fixed, or you don't know how to do something, get on the phone. And I'm sure if I don't know, somebody listening will. And we'll put a few questions out there and see what comes back. And we'll look at something spiritual to open up as well for Thursday. That's Thursday night. That's live here on the Clint Denyer channel. If you want to catch up with this at a future date, you can. Please subscribe, like, and share. And once you've subscribed, you can watch all. There's loads here. There's loads of backdated shows. So that's Inview and Inview Connect. I think you've been a great guest. Thank you very much for coming along and being here tonight and joining the journey. And I look forward to speaking to you all again on Thursday. And thank you very much. And if you want to catch this work, be on my Facebook page. So I will put it over there very shortly. Have a great week. Stay safe. Be safe. And do the things you want to do. All right. And I'll see you all on Thursday.